All right, welcome to another episode of Talk Data to Me with myself, Craig Stewart from Dalebrook Media. It's been a long time since I've done these, but I think the time is right now to really get stuck back into having these conversations. And as I've posted on LinkedIn, really what we're going to be doing is looking at AI. Got quite a few good guests lined up for that, but really kind of, I guess, the home truths, the realities, the things you really need to know about AI before you put them into your business. I think there's a huge hype cycle at the moment, obviously generative AI as well. Look, loads of value to be had, right? And Bramley, our guest, is going to take us through that in a bit. But a lot of things that can go wrong, and a lot of things that need to be in place to get there. So Bramley, Maetsa from Sasol. Bramley, so good to have you. First one in the series, and what a great way to kick off. How's it going?
Hey, Greg. It's going well. Excited always to hang out with you, and yeah, I'm looking forward to learning as well in our conversation.
Excellent. Cool. All right. So what we're really looking at here is with you is how to be ready for AI, right? And like operational readiness, data readiness, culture readiness. I think there's so many things that can go under readiness, right? Not just let's plug it in and just hope that it works. Maybe before we start, let's maybe just give everybody a little bit of an introduction into your role at Sasol. What is it that you actually do there?
Yeah. So, Greg, thanks for that. So I'm responsible for innovation within the office of CIO, and I'm excited about this topic because specifically, driving the generative AI strategy for the organization. And the reason is as we, adopt use cases, as we look at the use cases, we do it in a responsible way, meaning in the end, we have what do we call responsible AI for Sasol. Yeah. So we'll get into details about that, but I'm very excited to be sharing that journey with you, and it speaks specifically to my role.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for sharing, because I know sometimes feel a little bit cagey about what's going on within the organizations, but I know through our events and stuff, you're really open about this. I love the fact that you're thinking about responsible AI, and I think that's such a good foundation for it. I think it's also interesting in that it's such a diverse organization. People just think petrol for the most part, right? But there's so much that goes into it. From the production side, the exploration side, the processing side, and all the upstream stuff, the marketing stuff, all that sort of thing. There's so many areas that you can actually put AI in, which we're going to get into now. But let's start off. Let's talk a little bit about this playbook that you've created. And I know that this is something you're quite keen to share with everybody that, maybe wants to put something into their organization, some sort of framework to make sure that their roadmap, their journey towards, extracting value from generative AI is quite smooth and quite governed. Why did you come up with an idea for a playbook for generative AI for the organization?
Yeah, I think one of the things about the industry that we live in or that we operate in as Sasol is highly regulated. These regulations that you need to comply with. So safety really is at the core of what we do. And we thought, why don't we just walk the talk, right? When it comes to generative AI. In fact, I always give you a story that when ChatGPT came out, a lot of folks went on to block the ChatGPT, but we decided at that point to inform our executives that this tool is out there and we think people are going to be using it. And the first thing that we need to do responsibly is to write a policy to guide the organization. And that was really the right thing to do. And we believed at the time that some of the policies that exist today around what do you do with Sasol data, how you behave around social media, formed a core part of that first policy. Now, the playbook is really the guardrails that is making the policy real in
Yeah.
practical terms. What you'll find in there is whether you are a general user. We have about three personas. We're thinking about 4 personas now. If you are a general user, there is content for you as a general user. This idea of how do you prompt generative AI, right? Prompt engineering comes in as a key enabler there. And if you're a delivery team, you're probably interested more into what are the tools that are approved by the organization. Where is the infrastructure sitting? So you can play safe from that perspective. And if you're from business, we also have a use case for you. In that case, you're probably more interested in how do you evaluate a use case? How do you know where the value is sitting, right? And that's where this idea of data readiness comes in, which is really the core of our playbook. So our playbook really is a book that tells the story of where we want to go and the story of how to play safe, really. And I've been enjoying working on it. We literally have over 100 pages now on it, and we are very real and practical about it.
Yeah, I know coming up with a playbook like this is not a small task, right? Like this, especially in an organization the size of Sasol, or an extremely big one of the big banks, one of the big retailers, telcos, etc. You're not dealing with an organization of 100 people. How do you even begin such an undertaking? Because I think that's what people want to know. It's great that you've got the playbook, and we'd love to know what's in it, but some organizers probably they don't even know where to start. And I'm sure, like you say, now you're on 100 pages. How do you kind of distill and crystallize all that information across the organization into something that is easy to use, easy to read? Obviously, you've got ChatGPT, I assume that you can ask it questions, so that helps. But how do you start such an undertaking? How do you kind of just map and plan that out? And how long has it actually taken you to get to where you are now?
Yeah, look, maybe the content is easier, but you're gonna leverage on your partner ecosystem. I mean, to put it quite frankly, most of us we overstretched. We don't, obviously have extra time to work on any additional project. But in this case, we had the support from executives, and we're given the resources because we believe that this has the potential to transform the organization. So in my case, I did get obviously the partnership in terms of technology partners to work with me. You're going to get some of your colleagues to help you. In our case, our chemical studio team had already embarked on the journey, so we also leverage on some of the resources that they had. So it's not an easy one. I would think that the first thing you need to do is making sure you have the sponsorship higher up. Folks understand. I had a comment where folks are saying, is writing a document this big not going to stifle innovation? Why don't you just let guys just go there and play? And I was reminding people that huge percentage of AI and generative AI use cases are not in production.
Yeah,
and that's for a reason. So we're building the playbook to ensure that whatever idea that we're going to have, we understand the value for that idea. 2, is going to land safely. 3, that is going to be in production and will be able to deliver on value. So it's only when you invest this way that you are able to reap the rewards the last thing you want to do is to have models that are in production that are hallucinating, and you can't explain why.
Yeah.
And I've already, Greg, on this one, I mean, we had digital teams in the environment for the past 5 years, and I can tell you now that most of these folks have already models that they've created, and just to get the inventory of those models is hard. This idea of reuse now becomes difficult to achieve if you don't have a simple guardrails that says, if you want to do a predictive model, you want to work on sales or whatever it is, use case, maybe check in the catalog if there is something that exists that someone else has done.
Yeah.
So on the long term, you're going to see, the return on investments on investing in such a guardrails for the organization.
Yeah. So there's quite some efficiencies down the line you see in terms of this model's been built and properly cataloged, it's in production. You can effectively be tailored to another situation within the organization. Then kind of that time to sort of return time to actually seeing benefit reduces massively.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
All right, cool. So one of the key things I wanted to talk about, and it's a hard one to, I guess, unpack to a degree, and it's kind of the title of the talk that we're having is about this organizational readiness. What makes an organization ready to embark on an AI or generative AI journey? I mean, a lot of organizations have AI in already. They've got it, maybe in their fraud department, and intelligent automation on the flip side is generally quite strong. But in your opinion, or kind of your advice on it, what makes an organization ready to go? I think must have good quality data maturity's got to be there. That's kind of a given. But what are some of the other key things that makes an organization ready to actually take this step? Because everybody wants to do it. Does everybody need to do it? What degree do they need to do it in? How would you kind of assess and measure organizational readiness for AI?
It's a big topic, obviously big chunk of playbook, but without reading, what we have put in the playbook, just looking at the surface. And I like the saying that folks are saying that your organization is ready for AI, but is your data?
Nice.
So data really for me, it's a very key component of that. But you don't have to overthink this, right? We've been doing data management, I think, for the past few years, is really leveraging on making sure that you have your data product catalog, you have quality in place, you have people. I think a lot of organizations are going to struggle with the skill, right? It's probably easier to get data analysts, but you might struggle to get more high-end data engineers, for example. So people becomes key. I always say the softer thing also when you're looking at people is this idea of new ways of working, right? There's always debates in organizations that are going through either digital transformation or generative AI to ask themselves who's doing what. Right? What does IT do? What does business do? So you're gonna have to, sit folks around the table and make sure that if your digital teams, for an example, are in business, it's very clear what they do and what IT do, and there's different models that one can build around the product itself, or around creating what we call fusion teams, and really getting folks to focus on, getting the train to move faster, getting our molecules to move faster, and then there's a lot here that you can do. But my suggestion would be just leverage on what you already have first. Get your data management right. Make sure that you as working, you have that bedded down, folks understand. And the other thing that I've been, reading lately is we have this concept of COPs, which is community of practices, right?
Yeah.
But what I have found that it is actually becoming a little bit ineffective is you find that these COPs are not cross-functional, right? So it's a COP, but it's only IT people are attending, or is it COP, but it's only business folks attending. So when you move into this world, I would think more that you want to have that cross-functional COPs where these issues can be discussed in real time.
Okay, so it's quite a bit of teamwork required across the organization.
Teamwork, and I think folks are going to get stuck on. Obviously, we're going to have co-pilots and few things that you can help you with the productivity. They're going to stuck on where is the value.
Yeah,
and that is going to be interrogating that data. For us, the value might be sitting in operations, for example. So we're making a clear distinction between a productivity use case and what we call golden use case.
Mm-hmm.
Golden use case is the one that makes the cargo move faster.
Yeah.
Is the one that will increase the number of feet that go to a fuel station. Is the one that will be able to tell us more about our asset reliability, right? Is the one that can tell us where we can optimize our processes. So it's again licensing the data, looking within that data, seeing where the value is.
Okay. I'm going to come back to the use cases in a bit, but I just want to ask you a little bit about AI literacy. A lot of people are not talking about data literacy at the moment. They're talking about AI literacy. Obviously very important, but probably really important to some people, and to other people it's probably just going to be way too technical. It's not really need to know. What is your stance on AI literacy across the organization? Is it essential, or you just maybe need to know? I know we talked about this when we met, just what sort of questions to ask, the prompt side of things. Is that AI literacy? Is that something different? How deep do you need to go with AI literacy, or how broad do you need to go with AI literacy across the organization?
Look, it's a very important one. In fact, I just came out of our last workshop on data readiness, and the idea of training came through, right? That our colleagues are feeling strong that we need to be intentional about training. So if you think about how generative AI works, which is this idea that you put in a prompt and it's going to generate content, it's important that folks understand how to prompt correctly.
Yeah.
I've seen organizations that even before they roll out, technology, they'll really send folks on a general training on prompt training. I've seen folks that have implemented Gen AI Academy, which focuses on the prompt engineering. So prompt engineering is really very key. It's like you and I sitting down and making sure that we're setting the context, asking the right questions to get the right answer. That is essentially it.
Yeah.
And I will really just take this up as we roll out the playbook that our training becomes mandatory. The prompt engineering becomes mandatory, and it's well, funded, because Gen AI is the future, and if we can leverage on it to train our people, the better.
Yeah. Okay, because I think that's, if it's maybe around people just asking the questions that are in their head, not thinking about the technical way to get to the answer, but more just natural language, natural question. How do we find this? What is the sales data on this? Has this impacted this? Is it as much as that? And then just getting people to really kind of ask those sort of questions that they would naturally ask a question?
Exactly. Sorry, Greg, I just got distracted a little bit. You can have to repeat that question.
Oh, good. No, I was just kind of more making a comment around, getting people to not think about asking the question in too technical a way, that they're trying to interrogate data as much as, you're asking a question in a very natural way. Whatever's in your head, that question's in my head. Let me just ask that question.
Yeah. Yeah. And Greg, for me, I would say what makes this particular technology different is exactly that for the first time, a machine and a human, they speak on the same language.
Yeah.
In the past, you put in some code and the machine will put it into machine language that they understand. Today, you put things in a natural way, and the machines will interpret it accordingly. So they will meet you at the human level, which is very key. So it's really not to overthink it. I already know folks that are today at home, at least when it comes to simple things like doing the homework for their own kids or even studies. I know of an individual that even when had to set up the thesis topic, they actually use generative technology for that. So it's really very, very powerful. I was sitting the other day with somebody that was almost building a contract, a legal contract, and we're just laughing that hey, the job of lawyers, there it is.
Under threat. I think that's the thing as well, right? So many people think that their jobs are going to be under threat, but the human in the loop is still really essential to the whole, or to the overall success of generative AI, right?
I agree, but I also feel like there's probably going to be a regulation, the same way that you have in aviation. I mean, I always say the plane can fly, by itself, but there's a regulation that there must be a human being, there must be human being inside. And I think if we really want to be serious about safety or responsible AI, you'll get this idea of a co-pilot that everyone, they have their Gen AI assistant in the pocket, but in the end, you are responsible for whatever gets spit out. So that's why I say it. You would not take the human out of it. We, the concept of grounding is really just understanding is, are you getting what was asked? Is what is coming out safe? And that's very key. And you see, as we invest in technology, that more and more you're going to see the tools that are used to monitor these agents. Because we don't want them to go rogue, not alone that we want to see value coming out, but most importantly, we want to make sure that they are within the guardrails that we've set for ourselves.
Yeah, cool. All right, maybe the one use case, if you can talk us through it just a little bit, is safety is so paramount. We talk about safety of the models themselves, right? Safety in AI, but physical safety within an environment like yours is paramount. It's the number one priority when anybody ever steps onto a site, processing plant, whatever it may be. How are you using generative AI to improve the level of safety, in these fairly dangerous work environments that you do have in Sasol?
Yeah, we're still early days there. They certainly, as you know, obviously, safety is our top priority. We are exploring, especially when it comes to behavior driven. We are exploring how Gen AI can be used there. Gen AI is very good at content. Imagine, an operator, before you touch a machine, that you already have, information, which, most of this information is sitting on documents. Imagine that in a natural way, there is an assistant sitting there with you, actually guiding you through how to operate the machine. So that will be a powerful tool to have. So we are exploring it. We're very early on that, but I see, a push in safety when it comes to generative AI.
Yeah. All right, cool. And then maybe just in closing, Bramley, and I know it's an evolving document, it's already relatively big, but what are maybe the 3 key points from the playbook that you could share with people who are kind of not necessarily how to write the playbook, but what are the three big things you've included in there? What are the three sort of really key elements to it?
Yeah, I think we did touch this earlier. So for me, it is this idea that we have Gen AI product catalog. I think it's important. It's going to help, when it comes to learning from others. If our mining team has implemented predictive maintenance model, there's no need for you to go reinvest on that. So having a single repository for these models, I think that will be key. The other one is obviously this idea that we call license to operate. Basically, what it is that want to make sure that before you start using these tools, that you have done training, that you understand the strategy. So from that perspective, we'll then give you the license to operate. That will be key. Obviously, prompt engineering as a training as part of this. The biggest one is the ability for business to tell use cases that are of high value. So that's very key. We don't want people to be focusing on, items that is not going to make the cargo move faster.
Yeah.
And I have spoken about data readiness. I think that's very key. The technical one, which is really around, we're using LLMs as models, but this idea of LLM ops and ML ops, is the idea of applying in DevOps within this space. I think that's very key, which talks to how you manage and monitor the things that you said they need to be monitored in the policy. Because if someone gets into trouble with this, and we say to you, Greg, that you have violated our policy, we're also going to have to be able to show how that was violated. So the idea of having the tools to monitor end to end, I think that's very key for us.
All right, perfect. Bramley, thanks so much for taking the time to share your insights. I think a lot of people are going to find this super valuable as they embark on their journeys, and I'm sure you don't mind if some people reach out to you on LinkedIn and ask for a chat. But always good to chat to you. Thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, have a good one. Talk to you soon.
Right. Yeah, thanks. Cheers.